Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is James and this is my YouTube channel. So today, it's a bit of a change of scenery, I know. We are currently in the SDA offices in their crit room. Now the crit room is pretty much where we break down all of our client briefs, our client projects at concept stage, development stage, really get into the groove of developing and going back to sort of using pencils instead of just doing everything on CAD. We really like to try and break things down here, and I'm really looking forward to this video. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but I think this is probably the best possible outcome for this video, because we're in the SDA offices, we've got all the access to the facilities, and you know, we've got a camera literally set up there to do sketches with. I mean, talk about the upgrade to this YouTube channel, it's just monumental. First things first is what we're actually going to do. Clean this crit room, take all the client's work out of here, and pretty much replace it with my Assemble City work. Hey guys, welcome back to the video. Now we've completely cleared out the crit room, the client's work, we can actually begin the review. Mostly we'll be talking in this stage about the site context and analysis. So this is Moorfields. Moorfields is here in Liverpool. I'll bring up a picture now of what the actual site looked like. So at the time when we were sort of surveying and walking the site was literally just a car park. And this location is actually on top of Moorfields car park where we're standing right now. So we're probably about, well, I think we're there looking in. So this here is the lower courts. That is a Golden Tavern pub, which has been there since for about 180 years now, or something crazy like that. It's a testament to the area, how long it's been there. Especially with everything else that's happened around the site, which I'll get onto later, but it's phenomenal that's actually been there. This here is the Tempest building, and then we have, this is sort of like an old waste management facility, I think. So that was called a pigeon building, and this is Turning Place, which is basically like a rotating structure that is inside of I think it's like an art installation, like it's inside of a building, and basically the building comes out and turns around. The history of a site for me is probably one of the most important key aspects when looking at site analysis, because essentially it tells you what the character of the site is like, and as it's developed over time you can really learn a lot about patterns of people and how the world evolving has influenced the site of today. This map is what the site used to look like in the 1890s. So the site is actually here. This is the site. So eventually my site changed, so we'll just take all that for now. That quadrant there is the site. This is Moorfields here. So as you can see, initially on the site we actually had a lot of sort of programs and functions. We have a school, we have a distillery, we have a reform club, we've got a hotel. This is Tempest Hay, which then leads straight onto this main high street here. We have the Leith offices, the Station Hotel. It was at one point a really sort of densely populated area. The sort of tight interwoven alleyways here forming the actual blueprint of the site in a way. Sort of how it lives to a grid, and how our understanding of the people sort of coming into their houses, whether it's the back of the house or the front of the house, we can't really tell from the plan. But essentially, these bits here, sort of how this whole street and sort of inner street is formed, just purely based around this one little single strip going through. You've got the distillery, reform club, all these sort of different spaces to really build the community, you know, school. Sort of whatever age the school is, you know, the hotel for visitors, for tourists, you know, you've got the distillery for the adults sort of thing, a reform club for maybe it's like a sort of social club as well. All these sort of different elements built along this strip really form that community. And that was one thing I really noticed about the site. So if I take that away and then we move into the 1920s, and you can see that this original sort of line is still standing here. As we can see, this whole big strip here, we'll take that, take this, and this. So that strip is still there. It's changed a little bit now, but that initial strip is there, where you've still got school, you've now got Carlton Hall instead of the actual, I think, the distillery that was there, the Reform Club. Now sugar refineries start popping up here, and I think eventually they actually take up this whole street. But oh, there it is, yeah, sugar distillery. So in a way, you can kind of see that almost the Liverpool dock influence as well. All the sort of materials that they're distilling or creating, you know, sugar sort of docks, you know, all that sort of aspect. You can really see the impact it had on such a small site and such a sort of tight-knit community. I can imagine that back in the day this was really interwoven and really connected with each other. Move on then to the 1950s, so let's mark out. You can start to see the sort of buildings get broken up. So let's take it all up there. The reason I'm marking it so big from the actual initial site analysis is because at a later stage my project actually took over all of this map. So we're going to do the full sort of historic analysis too. So we can start to see the changes now. You can see that this has changed into a gardens. The school's still there. This has changed into PH. I'm not sure what that understands, but I think it's public house. I mean, it probably is public house, but we can see that this Reform Club is still there. Carlton Hall is there. And the sugar refinery has moved and sort of taken up a bigger space at the top end here. And it's really interesting to see that all these sort of smaller scale houses here, and all of these here, like more alleyways are forming, and it's generally starting to really break up that initial really strong solid grid that they once had on the site. The grid is now becoming ever so slightly separated, you know. So that was the initial line was this blue line here, you know, that whole space there. Whereas now we've got a lot more sort of tighter alleyways coming through, like here, sort of through here to get probably to the main street. Another one forms here. So you can really see that throughout time the sort of site has just kind of started to be sort of dilapidated and broken up into smaller segments. But all the facilities are still there, which this is 1950s. Now we move to 1980s, which is the biggest change on the site ever. So I believe the reason for this was, I think after the war, the actual buildings in the 1950s map, some of them weren't actually even livable. So you can see the sugar refinery has been completely destroyed. Moorfield Station is now on site. I don't think actually Moorfield Station is even built on the 1950s map. So this is the site here, just mark that in red. So just a broken up community when I look at this. Like, you can see how each function has sort of changed. You've still got the public house, which is the Golden Lion Tavern, which I mentioned before, how it's been there for 180 years or so. But technology has influenced the site. It's no longer docks, it's more public transport, which is why Moorfield has been built. And you can see 2 tracks run underneath the site. Here you go, off there, and there. And they come down through here. And you can also understand that Moorfield's probably had a massive impact on the actual, there's actually another tunnel there, I just missed that one. So there's another tunnel there. So that's where you can see all the sort of sugar refineries completely have been lost. That's all now built up in Liverpool, as we'll see from the present day map in a minute. But all of these spaces here, that really tight, close grid, you can just about see it there, how it's still sort of holding on to its previous existence. And the way they've sort of separated the car park there, it still shows us that the site wants to retain that original gridded format, or at least stick into some form of grid to sort of contain its order. And you know, you can see the sort of high streets being developed, the sort of street scenes being developed. the community is now changing into a sort of newer culture shift. It's no longer a tight, close-knit community, it's now sparse and it's open. Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm just going to break this down really quick for you. Essentially what's happened today is the footage went on for about 3 hours for this whole Assemble City review. And essentially what I've decided to do is break it down into, I think it's going to be 4 or 5 episodes now, where we have the site historic analysis, the site context analysis, the concept development, and then the final development, and maybe the sort of presentation, portfolio layout at the very end. The reason for me doing this is I don't essentially want to upload a full 3-hour take onto YouTube. I'd much rather sort of split it down into smaller segments. Say the historic analysis, for example, if I do that in, say, trying to make that 3 hours into 20 minutes, the historic is going to be really small. Whereas I prefer to actually upload each episode into these sort of 20-minute segments and really go in depth and really sort of dive into why I decided to do this, why I made these concept changes, and really discuss it with you at home, the audience. Because that way I think we're both getting a lot more out of it, instead of it just being a 20-minute video of a 3-hour long footage that I've just condensed massively into, you know, a tiny little film. So that is the reason for this video sort of ending abruptly here. Lastly, I'd like to thank Simon at SDA for actually giving me the opportunity to film inside the office today, and for letting me use all the sort of facilities, and you know, just the whole team at SDA too, really being supportive of the YouTube channel. I really appreciate it, and yeah, thank you very much. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.